The Spike and Jones podcast is graciously sponsored by Justin Richards, founder and principal at Team Richards Realty Group in Bellevue, Washington. When the average agent you meet on the street sells fewer than 4 homes a year, experience matters. Justin and his team rely on more than 30 years combined experience, multiple financial market up and down swings, and hundreds of properties sold when advising their clients on their next sound investment or pricing a home for sale. Their goal is always very simple: achieve the best home price results in a time frame that suits your needs, all with the least amount of stress to you as a buyer or seller. For more information, visit teamrichardsrealty.com. That's TEAMRICHARDSREALTY.com, or call Justin Richards at 425-765-8088. And now, on with the podcast. Hey, good day from the Pacific Northwest. This is going to be the last podcast of the year for Spike and I. Truth be told, we are having a very, very difficult time getting together with the holidays and family requirements. And in fact, I'm actually sitting in my car recording this intro because I don't even have the right setup to do what I would normally do. So, that being said, this is our Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year podcast. And this week we talk about one thing in our lives, which was a particular year. Now, that may not sound too impressive or too exciting, but the fact is that was a pretty wild year. So I'm not going to give anything away. I'm not going to give any secrets away. I'm just going to tell you to listen and hope you enjoy. Hope you'll tell everybody about what we're doing. And we're looking forward to growing this entertainment vehicle throughout 2017, and we are so tremendously appreciative of the audience we've developed so far. So thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Have a very, very safe holiday season. Don't drink and drive, all that stuff Nancy Reagan told you not to do. And if you don't know who Nancy Reagan is, well, shame on you. So with that, happy holidays, all the good stuff from Spike and Jones, and yeah, that's a truck driving by. See ya.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Spike and Jones.
That made life difficult when TV shows like Happy Days and, I don't know, you name it, any cool 70s sitcom was on.
You went with Happy Days for cool 70s sitcom?
Well, maybe not cool, but influential.
Gotcha. Give me 2 spinoffs of the 3 from Happy Days.
Laverne and Shirley would be the number one.
Easily.
And before I go to the other spinoffs, because I can remember Mork and Mindy.
Sure.
And I have to remember Joanie loves Chachi.
That's it. Nice done.
I actually had a big crush on Erin Moran.
60 Minutes would have also been an acceptable answer. Just kidding.
In 1979. I was like, oh, she's
Erin Moran was
she's kind of attractive.
Kind of cute. She was a unpleasant looking child as a small one when she came on.
And she's an unpleasant person. Have you ever listened to interviews with her?
I have heard that
she's a very unhappy.
Yeah. Her family surname is Bitterman. Yes. Of the Montana Bittermans.
Yeah. Delicious. The Big Sky Bittermans. 19 whatever it was, 78, 77. That I guess it would have had to have been before that, 76, 77 when Laverne and Shirley broke.
Yeah, probably before that. I'm not sure what year American Graffiti came out. That probably would have been about 74.
Yeah, 73.
And they didn't wait long to put Happy Days on the air after that.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be called Kool. Did you know that?
Kool?
Yeah, that was Gary Marshall's idea. It was going to be called Kool.
With a K after the cigarettes? It's a great sponsored tie-in.
Yeah, probably, but no, I don't think so.
Then they found out white people don't like menthol.
They do not.
And,
except my grandfather, who smoked Kool menthols
seriously?
all freaking day long.
Was he raised on a plantation or something?
3 packs a day.
Really?
Chain smoked them.
God.
Sucked them off each other. Oh, it's insane.
Now I've made fun of the dearly departed. Yeah, he didn't.
No, I mean, we're talking 48 cigarettes in his every day.
Jesus.
Yeah, crazy stuff. So his house smelled like, I don't know, whatever that is.
Well, menthol.
Tar.
You ever go to a place that has so much tar on the walls, it's actually discolored the walls?
Yeah. Yeah, my dad's old apartment in Yakima.
My God. I used to 10 bar at a joint that was tainted with with nicotine on the walls of this place. You could literally put your hand on the wallpaper of this place and it would be tacky.
Nice.
And put your hand away and smell the cigarettes on your hand.
I like that a
Yeah.
lot. You know, there's something weird
That would have been
about
1987.
87?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
It's funny because, cigarettes really have fallen off the popularity map in the last maybe 15 years.
I tell my daughter that she will be the last generation that has to ever deal with that.
Yeah. When I went to Japan for the first time in 1998, I was dating my girlfriend at the time, soon-to-be wife, and we were at an amusement park in Suzuka. So there's a famous racetrack there, Suzuka Circuit, that where all the hardcore riders, riding the Kawasaki, thousands or whatever they are.
We're talking about bike riders.
Right.
Bike races.
Yeah. And they're laying
Oh, yeah.
down
All the knee on the ground. They got that skid plate on their knee.
riding 300 miles an hour. Just crazy stuff.
God.
But
an eighth of an inch of contact with the Earth's surface at that point,
is
too.
correct. We are at Suzuka Circuit. It's spring. And this was this is 98. Just when cigarettes are really starting to fall out of favor. Fart too. But falling out of favor pretty significantly here in the States. That was when a lot of legislation started taking off.
Right.
And anyway, I'm there in the amusement park walking around and I see this gathering at one of the crosswalk areas at the amusement park. And this is really popular in Japan. There will be an area where there are a whole bunch of women dressed in skimpy outfits. You'll see this in train stations as well. And they'll be hawking a new vodka or, I don't know, name something, a perfume.
Right,
And they use the very attractive women to sell
We
these
see them
things.
as Jägermeister girls, Red Bull
Correct.
girls. Sure. Yeah.
Correct. They are the Tropicana girls,
Right.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there's all these incredibly tall Japanese women, and there are very few of those.
Right.
But there are tons of them, all wearing red leather bikinis. It was insane.
Wow.
They were all very, very attractive.
This is at a family amusement park? Mm-hmm. Isn't that amazing?
And they were holding trays of Marlboro cigarettes.
Okay.
And it's because they were losing market share here.
Yeah.
And they had to kill somebody else
Sure.
somewhere else. So they
Were they
went to
giving out
Japan.
little sample packs of
Yep.
Marlboros or singles?
Kids.
To kids?
Yep. I mean, hand them out to everybody. Little kid would come up and take them off the thing. They'd be like, "Oh, see my son." You know what I mean? All cute.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like,
red leather bikini past
boy,
Marlboros to kids.
did
Man,
they look
that is,
good.
there's a moment there.
did they
God.
look good? I would have smoked for those girls.
They're smoking. I might as well too. Yeah.
But 78. My parents wouldn't let me stay up past 8:30. So I never watched Laverne and Shirley. Not until I was 14. They were very strict on bedtimes. I mean, we're talking crazy strict. In fact, when I was a senior in high school, my bedtime was 10 p.m. And the latest I could ever stay out. This is 1984. Okay. The latest I could ever stay out was 11:30 ever. Unless I had really, really, maybe prom night, right?
Okay.
And I broke the rule twice.
Okay.
And both times one time I got caught, and the second time I apologized. Like I was so guilt-ridden, you know what I mean? I just was like, "Mom,
I have failed you."
Home late. But I just followed the rules.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
10
So
p.m.
my senior year of high school, I was tending bar at my parents' bar because I had turned 18, and in Maryland at the time, 18 was the age of drinking. You could drink beer at 18, liquor at 21. But since we had a family business, I was able to tend bar at 18. So my senior year of high school, I was literally living above my parents' neighborhood bar and tending bar till 2:30 in the morning. Then most nights drinking after hours with my friends, and then getting up and going to school the next day, going to high school on a city bus. I had a car, but most days I was literally too drunk to drive to school in my senior year of high school.
I blame your uncle, though.
Which
The
one?
one
The one
that
that got me high?
turned you on the pot.
No. When your parents own a bar and you literally, everybody pitch in $5. So because we would throw the customers at the front door at 2 and bring my buddies in the back door at 2:30.
Wow.
We would all throw $5 a head in and buy a keg and drain it, playing quarters on my parents' bar after hours while I was in high school. I remember going to a senior exam in my senior year of high school and going in and writing my name down on the exam and copying down the first problem of I don't know if it was algebra 3 or something, or trig, or whatever the hell. Clearly, I use it every day. Writing down the first problem and then passing out on my test. Being woken up 2.5 hours later by my professor saying, I think we've accomplished all we're going to accomplish, Mr. O'Neill. Get yourself home. Yeah.
Wow. And they actually sent you home?
Sure, yeah.
What were they going to do, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't need the class to get out. I had enough credits to get out, so...
Wow.
We all knew that, math wasn't going to be my forte.
Sure.
Until I started attending bar, and then quick addition and subtraction became a staple.
So you are proof that...
I'm 80 proof.
You are proof that significant alcohol consumption and significant marijuana consumption does not destroy brain cells.
At a formative age, no, I don't think that's the case. I think I appreciate
you're smart.
I appreciate your vote of confidence in what's left.
Yeah.
I'm working with what's left. My brain, using my brain in any type of intellectual capacity is like a B-52 bomber trying to limp home from Germany with one wing shot off, bullet-ridden hull,
right.
smoke coming out of 3 of the remaining 4, whatever. And just that's me using my brain.
Okay.
I mean, if I hadn't,
you're gliding in.
If I hadn't been drug and alcohol addled during my formative years, I may be president-elect today. I'm serious. I seriously could have been the great orange pumpkin.
Yeah.
Instead of the guy we got today.
And the thing is based on what you were saying in a previous podcast, you had mentioned that you'd probably be home and you'd be Mayor Spike.
You know what? What I said was going to be the mayor of Baltimore. I didn't really mean the mayor of Baltimore.
Okay, so it was more of a radio thing.
A radio guy who was going to go home and not pay for anything anywhere.
Okay, right.
Where I want to be the guy. Your money's no good here. That's the guy I want to be.
Yeah.
Your money's no good here. Okay.
How long do I have to stand in line?
Yeah.
4 hours? Hey, Mr. Spike, come on in.
So come on in. Yeah. I'm that guy. It's funny now when I say my money's no good here, it's because they turned down my card. It's a completely different world.
Your chip doesn't work, sir.
Yeah, sorry.
So, how was the last week for you?
In what way, shape, or form?
Well, it's the holidays, so I had a colonoscopy on Tuesday, which was an absolute party.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're supposed to do that like one person. I can't believe they had a party. That's really disrespectful to you.
Well, it was really nice in a lot of ways.
Was there hors d'oeuvres?
I mean, no, but
was there an opening act?
My blood pressure was really high because I was a little nervous. It was the second time I had ever had it done.
Uh-huh.
And the nurses kept saying, "Wow, you're a funny guy," and I was like, "I'm just super nervous."
You were making jokes.
I was just
you were making jest.
Yeah,
as a stress and panic reliever. Sure,
yeah,
we all do.
Yeah, the first time I had one done, they gave me whatever they give you, propofol, to knock you out. Way before I even got into the main area. This time they gave me a PICC line. And then they sent me into the room, and the doctor literally says, "Okay, I need you to turn on your side and put your leg over here." And I was thinking, like, I'm not asleep. I'm gonna feel this. I don't want to. I don't want to feel this, And then I'm in the room, in the recovery room.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they must have just fired it into me immediately.
Little milk of amnesia.
Yeah.
I've
actually never heard that.
No. That was Michael. I think it was what they called Michael Jackson's little bedtime milk of amnesia. Sure.
That's awesome. I've never heard. I can't believe I haven't heard
another
that.
roofie colada, perhaps.
That's a really simple. Wow. Yeah. But I did have propofol, and you do feel it burn when it goes into your veins. I remember. I remember looking over and going like, ow, ow.
I've had a like a barium push, I guess they call that, when you are looking at, and you feel that warm. It's like they tell you, because they're about to put you in like the tube. When I had my cancer scare, they give you the barium milkshake, and you have to, and they push a barium like flush into your veins or something, and you feel this thing go through your system.
Yeah.
And you realize just how fast your body moves shit through your system.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, like literally shit.
Yeah.
And I love when they tell you, you're going to feel like you're losing your bowels, but you're not. So relax, because you're going to feel like you're going to the bathroom.
Really,
but you're not. So don't worry. Even if you do, it's a medical thing. We've seen. We're going
to catch it on a paper.
We've seen everything here. That's why we give you paper gowns. I'm telling you, man.
We've seen everything.
Seriously. I know. You can't surprise us, O'Neill.
Yeah.
Unless you poop out an elf or something, you're not going to surprise us. What's our deep
This
six
is
today?
Christmas talk.
I know Christmas.
We're gonna deep six a year today.
I know. Well, we're deep sixing an entire audience right now, so
Yeah.
let's do that.
But I got to tell you this real quick.
sure.
So they gave you the solution, which I think is hilarious. It's called Golightly, like Holly Golightly, right? I just thought that was great.
I love that. Yeah.
And this time, so last time I had it done, they had me drink all 4 liters at night. So the next day, I mean, I was clear as clear
and
gets,
that's
right?
a weird thing.
Yeah.
God.
This time they made me split it up: 2 liters at night, 2 liters in the morning,
Okay.
and then I had an early afternoon, exam, whatever they want to call it.
Date.
Yes, with Destiny.
Mystery date.
Oh my gosh! And I hadn't had any material for 5 hours, and then
You mean like material for your podcast or something in your stomach?
yeah, something in my stomach.
Okay. Yes,
I was trying to be nice.
That's
cool. But she goes, well, do you want to evacuate before
Yeah,
we go in?
I
And
love
said,
that.
well, sure. So I go in there and
You grab your wallet, your keys.
Right.
No, I think you misunderstand.
Yeah. Is there a fireproof? I have an upside down flag. No, so I go and use the restroom and basically just, a fair amount of, gas, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole time I'm thinking, he's the doctor's maneuvering me around, and they did that whole thing. He, has me lay on my side and has me kick my leg up, and then exposes my butt, and I'm like, oh God, I'm still awake. And then I look back and I see this really big sort of paper bag-ish sort of thing, and I'm thinking like, this guy is so used to sticking a metal whatever thing, scope up everybody's tailpipe. What happens every time he breaks that seal? The anus pops into the, you know what I mean? You got to open up the anus to get the scope in,
Yeah.
and then the rectum relaxes, which means if there's anything in the colon, it comes out.
Right.
And I'm looking up, and he's got the splash mask over his face.
Oh my God! So you got I'd have a welder's mask on. I mean, I would look like the knights that say Nymphers, with those guys with a little eye slit.
Yeah. So again, the first time I had it done, I never saw the doctor. So I didn't know how they prepared, and I turn around, and literally he's got the scoop.
You ever heard the Boston
and
song?
The scoop, and it's just like, wow.
You ever heard the Boston song "Don't Look Back"? They were talking to you.
Yeah.
It's not about your past. It's about the doctor who's about to give you the colonoscopy.
Yeah.
Don't look back.
I just wondered if I left him a little brown baby.
Oh man, that's just not right. I don't want to know.
So beautiful tie.
Thank you. It's green. Yeah.
Seahawks Thursday.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I have nowhere to go with that.
That's okay. No, I appreciate that. I wore this tie.
Yeah, so we're getting some good listenership.
Good.
Got a couple of people on the East Coast that have never been here that apparently discovered you through the Bob Rivers show.
Mm-hmm.
I guess either through some syndication model or maybe when you guys were just online.
Okay.
Because it was always broadcast daily.
Yeah.
Fell in love with your Twisted Tunes.
Cool.
And then started listening to the show. And this gentleman, his name is Byron, and he is always making wonderful comments. So I wanted to drop his name and say thanks for listening,
Yeah,
Byron.
seriously. And I didn't know they gave internet access to mental health facilities. That's nice. I guess that's nice.
He'll love that.
I know, Byron.
He will love that. That's
Lord
a Christmas
Byron.
gift.
We called him. We referred to him as Lord Byron.
Yes.
Yes.
But
That's nice to hear.
I do love that. I do love that we have our proponents out there in La La Land, wherever they are, telling people about us. All 20 of them.
in the world, in the ethers.
Yeah.
Ethosphere.
So it's the Christmas season, and this is going to be released the Wednesday before Christmas. So we should probably get off the poop talk.
Well, if you got your health, you got everything.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't need anything from Santa.
That's
you got
true.
your health.
That's true. I will say this, that so I'm 50 now, and it's always recommended that you have a colonoscopy. I've heard every year.
Yeah.
Right?
Every year?
That's what I've
I
heard.
think your doctor just likes you.
No. Well, he might.
I think you're supposed to have one at 50.
He
Maybe
likes to
Eric
make
said
my brown eye
annual.
blue.
You got. I tried to write that Twisted Tune once.
Yeah.
Bob wouldn't let me.
It's really hard to make that undirty.
Is that an annual thing? You're supposed to do an annual thing? 'Cause I'm lacking.
No, I'd
annually.
I'd actually read this. I don't know if this is true, but
In a men's room somewhere?
maybe
Just, you
call
know,
555. Yeah, but the doctor said, we'll see you in 10 years. So
Cool. Oh, good. That's good.
So that was good. He didn't even say, no bumps, no polyps, no nothing. Just he said, wow, you have a very, very healthy young colon.
There you go. Like, do you find anything back there? Just a remorse for my career choice. Other than that,
yeah. Maybe a AA battery.
Oh, man. Good. Good for you.
Yeah.
Start small.
Yeah. Well, I've seen light bulbs.
We did a tour once. I don't even want to go here. We did a tour up at,
We're going to
we did
anyway.
we did a tour of Harborview Hospital. We used to do this bit called Meet Every Listener when we first came to town. We would go out and meet people in their businesses. And we went up to meet the guys and staff at Harborview. And they took us to the bin room. This is what we've
bin room.
This is things we've collected that people didn't want to take home with them. Okay. Yeah. Yep.
I'm ready to
That
gag.
was 1989.
Yeah. Tell us what they found, Spike.
No, you don't want to know.
I have, I really want to talk about this, but today's clearly not it. And Christmas, it would be unfair to talk about some of these really yucky things. But there are some hilarious yucky stories out there.
Well, yeah.
Hilarious.
You can't fill 300 cable channels without them. So
Yeah. So before we get going, I should probably go evacuate.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, go. You get that?
Did I get that? Okay, everything came out really well.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not for you. I meant for our cleaning staff.
Yeah.
It's good.
There's this, so we're here at CBS Seattle, and there is
Hypothetically.
Excuse me.
That's okay.
We're across the street from yeah.
We're enjoying the free Wi-Fi at Starbucks.
Yes. And but there is a portrait of Jack Kerouac around the corner.
Yeah.
And every time I come around the corner, I go, why do they have Harry Dean Stanton on the wall?
I know, doesn't he? He does.
Totally
Oh, he
does. And it just
He
goes
passed
to
away
show
recently,
you.
didn't he? This
Harry
year?
Dean Stanton?
Yeah. I think
No, he's still alive.
Are you sure about that?
He's still alive.
Are you sure about that?
He's in the new Twin Peaks, dude. I know about that.
I thought he passed away this year.
No.
I thought he was one of those we lost.
I think he's 90, but I'm 99.99.
But you're confident he's alive.
Percent, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
The reason
Google that while we talk.
actually, there's a reason, because I was listening to a podcast on the drive here today with Slim Jim Phantom, the drummer from the Stray Cats.
Oh, right on.
And one of his best friends is Harry Dean Stanton, and he said I was just over there, and this was just released 2 days ago. So
Okay,
he's still alive, dude.
I didn't think
He's
that
just
was the case.
old, and
I know we lost Dennis Hopper this year.
Dennis. Was it this year?
Yeah,
I thought it was a couple years
wasn't he
ago.
lost- or at least I saw it on Facebook this year. Maybe he died 5 years ago.
Yeah, he probably did. I think it was something like that. It's been a while. No, we lost a ton of amazing individuals this year, but we still
It has
have
been
Kirk.
a brutal year.
We still have Kirk Douglas.
He hits 100. I saw, right?
I believe so.
Kirk Douglas. Yeah, and he's 90. Harry Dean is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, love him.
So now that we've lost our 25 listeners.
Bastards.
So
What do they want? Focus? For the love of God, you came here
Exactly.
for focus?
Well, they hear lots of from me.
Do they?
Yeah, lots of
You're the Wizard of
Yeah.
Wizard of Uz.
And
I told you that, right?
And you do this.
Do I?
You know how like the people can spit like making that.
Oh, yeah. Through your teeth.
You can you do that?
Oh yeah.
Of course you can.
Yeah. I shoot water at the front row at our concerts,
Okay.
like a sculpture.
Okay.
But I make a lot of puppy sounds.
That's your thing.
Is it?
Everybody's got a thing. That's
Yeah.
your thing.
I always had a pop filter on my mic.
Yeah. Well, we have pop. I have pop filters, but we have to set up stands,
about-
and this is easier just to hold a
Yeah,
microphone.
it is. You don't have a little condom for my microphone like that I can put on something like that?
We'll just talk through our hands.
Yeah, the foam cones that we used to have.
sound like? Is that okay? No, wait a minute.
This is Rob's colon. Hello.
People walking by in the courtyard going, "What the
What the hell are they doing? Why is his leg on the table?
How come he's got one leg
It's
laid
for
over the other?"
acoustics. It's acoustics. You maroons.
So you hadn't necessarily come up with a Deep Six topic this week. But you had mentioned a couple weeks ago that you really liked. You said maybe we should deep six a year. Mm-hmm. And I was admittedly selfish and thought of years that I would have stories to tell.
Okay.
I came up with 85 and 87, and you said, 87.
Yeah, 87 was a weird, wonderful year for me.
So why don't you
too.
lead?
Sure. So let's set the Wayback Machine with
Yeah.
Mr. Peabody and Sherman. That tells you how old I am right there. I remember they were on Saturday mornings. Not before they were a movie made last year that was just an abomination of my childhood memories. 1987 was my 24th year on this planet, 24 years old in 87. I had, at that point in time, figured out that, first off, I was out of college forever. And I don't mean I graduated. I was just out of college. I'd run out of college. I'd run out of runway, and the plane hadn't touched the ground.
Nice.
1987. In 1987, I will tell you that I fled my life in 1987.
Okay.
I was always a guy who was in love. I was always somebody's boyfriend. Almost my entire life I spent as somebody's boyfriend. Started early in my life, and if I broke up with a girl or she broke up with me, I was immediately in another relationship right away. And in 85, I met a girl much too young for me. And by that, I mean, I was 22 and she was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
Okay, but I just felt deeply in love with this little girl. I mean, she was a wonderful little girl, but just a little girl. And because I was tending bar, let's put things in perspective. I was tending bar and she was drinking on a fake ID, so I thought I was, punching my own weight, as they like to say.
Yeah.
But come to find out that she was, not that I stopped serving her or stopped trying to date her.
Server.
Servicing and serving. But I fell in love with this girl, and she broke my heart, just destroyed me.
Huh.
I mean, destroyed me. To the point where I was spent like days in bed, couldn't get out of bed.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, that's the guy I was. I was that guy. And it got so bad that I literally decided to move from Baltimore, from my hometown, from my friends, from my comfort zone, from my world. I moved to Florida. I fled a broken heart in 1987. And I spent 1987 in Orlando, Florida.
Wow.
Where I tended bar, and eventually got into the car business down there.
Huh.
I thought I'd like to try the car business down there. My dad had taken up a business interest in Florida.
Okay.
From our state, that was the anchor for Florida, was the Orlando area. The company he worked with opened a store. He managed a bunch of dealerships in Maryland, and he went down there to open and manage a car dealership in Orlando. And that my folks had not relocated to Orlando yet, but I went down because my dad we had a bit of an anchor down there, and I had someplace to, one of his associates had a room I could rent, and so I moved to Florida and 86'd everything and just started over.
Wow.
With a whole new set of everything, new friends, new coworkers, new life, new locale, in Florida for a year. And I immediately fell in love. So, I sport dated for a while as a bartender, and met a girl and kind of got crazy. And really sweet girl, lovely girl, hot as the devil's sphincter. This girl.
That's hot.
It's but it was funny as the year progressed in 1987. And I'm kind of nutshelling this. I don't know how much time we'll get out of this story. I kind of think in those terms. Is there enough to talk about? I mean, I moved to Florida and got a really nice bartending job. Went down looking for work. Didn't have a gig yet. Found this bartending job in an adult theme park, if you will, a place called Church Street Station, in downtown Orlando. I think it's gone now. It's the owner it didn't really happen.
What do you mean by adult theme park?
It was a series
sexual?
of bars. No. It was literally a block, a historical block on Church Street in downtown Orlando.
Okay.
And Disney's not in Orlando; it's outside of Orlando.
Right.
It's peripheral to Orlando.
Between there and Winter Park. Or something.
Yeah. Kissimmee, whatever you want to say it.
Yeah.
Church Street had themed bars, and this guy who owned it, Mr. Snow. Seriously, Mr. Snow. I know. I had thought about this years later.
It's like a David Lynch character.
I know, right?
His brother, Mr. Reindeer.
But this guy was like, an antique collector, and he restored vintage cars and airplanes. So it was literally an adult theme park. He had this place called the Cheyenne Saloon, And when cable TV was getting big and country music was getting big, they used to do live concerts from the Cheyenne Saloon at Church Street Station in Orlando, Florida. I mean, I worked at a different bar, but the Cheyenne was literally 3 stories of wood, like an old saloon, but 3 stories tall with a performance stage, and all the girls wore, cute little cowgirl outfits, and all the boys wore cowboy hats and jeans, tending bar and stuff, and wait staff. And the place was filled with artifacts and art, and it was gorgeous.
Was it an old brothel as well? I mean, hence the second and third floors?
No. It was. I'm not sure what the constructive the old warehouse district that he had refurbed and everything. Okay. I mean, he had a place called Apple Annie's that was like a family little restaurant kind of thing. Had a place called Phineas Fogg's that was a themed bar. I worked at a room called the Orchid Room, the Orchid Garden. My room was a brass and marble and mirrored kind of a joint. I worked in a tuxedo every night, and we had like big bands kind of playing in there, orchestral type music,
right,
and live performance. And that was all of Church Street, and tourists would come and they'd hang there and they'd party and drink, and locals would flock there for various nights of the week where different specials, and we'd bring locals in and whatnot. And met a girl who was a blackjack dealer at the Cheyenne Saloon, for fun, not for real, for money. They'd play for fun. And we started dating. It's funny though, but I grew homesick over my year in Florida. I had kind of clearly dating somebody else, and had made me realize that that girl wasn't, didn't destroy my life. Just, the girl back in Baltimore.
Yeah, she's busy destroying other lives.
Yeah, she was, I'm sure.
Did you ever see her again, by the way?
No, it's funny because we broke up, and I literally didn't move for. No, I'm lying. I'm a little confused. I did see her one more time. I went back. I was in. Okay, you're skipping ahead.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm in Orlando, and I'm pushing about almost a year down there. Wow. Almost all of '87. It got to be like the fall of '87, late October, early November, and it started to feel like I was punishing myself by not being home with my family and my friends.
Right.
I had figured out that I was going to be okay. I could learn to love again,
So dramatic.
That kind of shit, And I figured, you know what? Every day here it's okay. And this girl I'm with, she's great. She's a wonderful girl, but I'm not gonna move her and fall in love. I'm gonna wait till I get to Seattle to do that.
Oh yeah. You'd already planned it out.
Yeah, no. So I ended up moving back to Baltimore, like in November of '87, rather. And got back and started, working. I'd gotten out of bartending, and school was done. And I figured I'd get into the car business because I reached out to my dad when I was in Orlando. I said, I think I might be time to try the family business. He's like, okay, well, go to work for somebody else and learn how to do it and make your mistakes on somebody else's dime. And when you figure out how to do it,
Smart
you
dad.
come work for me.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I ended up moving back to Baltimore and taking a job at one of my dad's car dealerships, and still tending bar a little bit too.
Wow.
And it's funny because those two worlds are what got me into radio. I mean, I think I've told you before about how I was tending bar and I was selling cars for my dad and tending bar at the same time, and living way too fast, having way too much fun. When I came back from Florida, I decided not to fall in love and to make the most of my man whore card, to punch that thing full of holes. And I was just brutally sport dating as a bartender. I was, Jesus, it was brutal.
Night after night.
Oh,
after
dude, I'm
night.
telling you, just hit it and get it.
Were you just cutting the heads off and putting the antlers on the wall?
Pretty much. I mean, knocks on the door at 2:30 in the morning
Wow.
from girls that had been over once or twice before, but just kept coming back, which is cool. Good for me.
Well, it's good for your ego.
Yeah, it was. It was
If
great
they kept
for my
coming
ego.
back for you.
It was great for my ego.
With me, I'm like,
You should see what he's doing with his hand right now. It's kind of telling, to be honest with you. So '87 was a weird year for me because I had spent it, everything new, everything foreign to me. I had born and raised in Baltimore, knew what to expect from Baltimore, from the areas of Baltimore, from the seasons of Baltimore. Different seasons meant different things in Baltimore.
right.
But in Orlando and Florida in general, they don't have seasons, They really don't. I mean, it's hot and hotter.
Kind of hotter.
Yeah, it really is.
Wet
So,
and-
and that was different, and making new friends was cool, but there's a little more country than I was used to down in Central Florida.
Really?
Yeah, a little more. And maybe it was the Cheyenne Saloon. I was hanging out with those because I was hanging with my coworkers, as you usually do when you relocate. Your support system tends to be your coworkers, and that's you don't really have time to make new friends outside of that. I was living with a guy, a business associate of my dad, a single guy, so it wasn't like we'd hang out, but we didn't. It wasn't like this guy, in his 40s. I was in my mid 20s.
Right.
This guy in his 40s was not going to be my bud, So it was a little more country than I was used to, a little more conservative than I was used to. Yeah, and not that Baltimore is a real liberal hotspot. It's not. It's really not.
Really?
Yeah, Baltimore is a very blue collar town. I was raised in a real us and them environment, and I mean that from a racial perspective. I mean, I really, really do. I had I had a black friend. When I was growing up, but only when we moved out there. I was born in a neighborhood that was not segregated at all. But you're talking about Baltimore in the 60s, in the late 60s. We're talking like race riots time of year in cities all across America. So I was born and raised in a town that was very, very, very segregated, in a neighborhood that was completely white.
Yeah.
And moved when my parents bought a bigger home and moved us a little bit out of a nicer section of town. I remember Jay. Remember him to this day. Great guy, but you ever seen the movie Dazed and Confused?
Yeah.
The one black guy in Dazed and Confused? That was our neighbor. That was him. That was my buddy Jay.
Wow.
I mean, I'm almost like out of central casting. He's one of us. He's just a regular guy.
Right.
That was cool. It didn't matter. Skin color didn't matter.
But he was definitely the anomaly.
But he was the only one. Seriously, in our big group of friends. I told you I grew up in a neighborhood with like 20, 30 people my age.
Yeah.
We ran as a monstrous group of people.
Yeah. He was token.
Seriously, thank you. Yeah, South Park, totally. But junior high school was, all black for me. Baltimore had started the desegregation, the busing program in Baltimore, where they would take a certain number from areas of white neighborhoods and bus them to all black neighborhoods for junior high.
Wow.
Seriously. So while all my friends went to Hamilton Junior High School, my year they decided to bus our neighborhood to Northern Parkway Junior High School.
Wow.
And I can remember literally the guys one street over from me weren't in our zone. They got to go with all of our friends to Hamilton, and I got bused at Northern Parkway. And it was seriously where groups of white student groups would wait before school, literally across the street from school on like a side streets, and we would congregate there. And as the bell rang, we would all go in as a group.
You were the minority.
To school. Oh man, like 95%.
Oh.
We were the 5%.
I can't imagine that experience. I grew up all around Washington State. When I was a little kid, my dad went from job to job in the car business as well, and it was a big part of helping Mazda grow their whatever you want to call it, their brand here
their
in
market
the state.
share.
Yeah. And so we went from Chehalis to Wenatchee to Tonasket
Wow,
to Yakima.
really?
I mean,
For Mazda.
Yeah.
The introduction of the rotary engine back then, the Wankel engine,
late
right?
60s, early 70s.
Yeah,
and,
which was a whole new concept here in America. And foreign cars didn't have the foothold they had then.
That's
Especially
correct.
in Eastern Washington. That must have been tough.
It was really tough.
That's a Ford country. That's a Chevy. If God love you. The war was...
Oldsmobile.
Olds? Okay.
Yeah, so what was happening...
But it was all Detroit steel.
Yeah, it was. And so
or Flint.
They were allowing, like when we went to Wenatchee, it was a 74, and the Oldsmobile dealership was taking on the Mazda brand as a, that weird, little weird Japanese brand that they could maybe sell a few.
You bet.
Because the price point was there, what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I remember cruising around Wenatchee in an RX-3, you know what I mean? A whole family in a tiny little coupe and going 90 miles an hour in second gear because you could. My dad was a maniac. But yeah, that's my experience with that was where I was going ultimately was the color race thing. Growing up, I didn't know anything different except white, whatever that means.
Yeah,
right.
Well, you were, yeah.
That's all. That's all I knew. And then when we went to Wenatchee. Then all of a sudden I started, at the time we called them Indians, right? The Indian reservations and, Native American families and the Hispanic families that lived in the area that were migrants that were, picking apples.
Agricultural, you bet.
And
seasonal or permanents or seasonals?
Mostly seasonal, but some permanents.
Right.
And so inevitably in our class we would have, Timmy, Steve, Bobby, and Jose, right? But we never, ever had African American, ever.
Wow.
Not once. I never, ever in my life saw in person an African American until I was in 10th grade.
Wow.
Because of where I lived. I lived in all these little small towns, went to all these little schools. You know, my in Tonasket, I had 33 people in my class. You know what I mean? And there was some, Hispanic kids, and there was, like I said, Native American, but there wasn't any darker skinned, anything.
Our white neighborhood, Armistead Gardens, was after General George Armistead, hero of the War of 1812 in Baltimore, commander of Fort McHenry during the Battle of the War of 1812, the Battle of the Star Spangled Banner. General George Armstrong, Fort McHenry.
I blame it on them.
But Armistead Gardens was as white could be, but right next door was Claremont.
Okay.
Literally right next door. The only time I remember running away from home when I was maybe 5, 7 years old, maybe 8, probably not though.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been like 69, 70.
Wow.
And run away from home and kind of, running through Claremont.
Running.
And getting so scared of what I was looking at and who was looking back that I literally turned tail and ran home and never ran away again. Yeah.
I think I hope we're in that last generation where there's this weird fear around race and culture. I mean, I'm hoping that changes sooner. Obviously it is changing, but then you look across the country and you see all these cops killing. And I'm not blaming cops.
No. I know.
I have cop friends.
I got friends that are cops.
Yeah.
No, it's funny you said that we talked about before this being the last generation that smokes. And I would like to think this is the last generation of racists in America,
true racists.
But I don't know that that's the case. And I would have given you a different answer a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And not to be getting political or pointing fingers, but I didn't realize what an underbelly this country, and maybe it's because I've never lived in various sections of the country. Yeah. Maybe this is nothing new to a lot of people in America, what we're going through these days. And clearly I'm a racist for pointing it out. That's what I see everywhere. I'm the one who's a problem. Boy. I don't know if you saw the video this week. I'll say this week, sorry. About this week, of the high school basketball team that turned their backs, the crowd, a high school basketball game in Missouri. Crowd of students turned their backs when the black team from the other school was introduced and held up a Trump sign in the audience there.
Oh, I didn't see this.
Turned their backs on them. And it's today's latest racial flare up of the media's 8 seconds of attention span. Just wondering how Obama's division will be blamed for them doing that, because clearly he's the problem. Yeah. I keep seeing it. So I worry about the racial growth of this country, of this culture in America. Because when you change, you rock the norm. That's what change is. You change, you upset the status quo.
Yeah.
And while this country has been evolving demographically and racially for decades, we've reached a tipping point. And that's troubling to what is now the minority of Americans, which are white. In most places, it's unheard of. There are places across this country that are embracing the Electoral College now with all their might. Yeah. Thank God. Can't have L.A. and New York electing our president. Yeah. Otherwise, it'd be all L.A. and New York. Well, I'm all for representation, but that's why there's a Senate. That's why there's a House. That's why there's state law as opposed to federal law. But when an election is won by someone who received almost 3 million votes less than his opponent, it doesn't seem quite like what they had in mind.
Yeah, well, that's a deep hole, buddy.
It is a deep hole, and but
because I'm almost of the opposite.
Are you
thinking? And not to be argumentative.
No, not at all. I appreciate and respect other opinions. That's what separates us from the animals.
There's that stupid meme that's running around the internet that says Civics 101 on it with the photo of why it's important to have an electoral college.
No, I haven't seen that.
Have you seen
one.
that? Okay.
I don't have those people on my Facebook feed.
Well, I know.
I try to have that's okay. I know you do. A
wide array.
So Civics 101. What is it? Why do we have Electoral College?
Oh God.
Because is it the big red map with the little tiny blue spots?
Yes. Okay. It's basically that idea that says that yes, this is where most of the people live, which is in any country they all live on the coasts.
Right.
That's just the way it is because
that's what water is
shipping.
Life.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why cities started on rivers.
Yeah.
Look at the Nile. It's not because they liked the climate. It's because there was a freaking river there.
Right.
You know?
And the thing is, as you well know, that just because there tend to be liberal bastions in those cities, that doesn't necessarily mean that the makeup is liberal.
Okay.
Does that even kind of go down this road? In other words, not everybody in Seattle voted for Obama, as an example.
Okay.
Right?
No, I hear you.
And trust me, those people are pretty pissed off from 2008 until now that they were stuck with somebody they didn't like. It doesn't mean that he ultimately didn't maybe serve them well, but they necessarily didn't dig it. They live here because of another reason, economics. It's beautiful, right? And they deal with the political culture because it's worth the trade.
Okay.
I would be one of those people.
Okay.
I am so not a Northwesterner politically. I am so not a coastie politically. It doesn't mean I'm going to hide my guns out in the woods in Eastern Washington and I can't, I'm just counting the days until Jesus comes back and destroys all the vermin. I'm not that guy either. As you know, I'm hyper moderate. I'm right down the middle. I'm a pussy about all of this stuff. And the fact is, honestly, Spike, I'm crazy uninformed.
Yeah.
And I choose to be because I hate having to pick a side and hate having to argue. And that's why I am so moderate. That's why I am such a bedwetting wuss, because I don't really necessarily want to know. And I know people listening to this will say, well, that's a pathetic position. Yeah, probably. I just don't care. But my brain, everything I've read on the Electoral College, and I know this has nothing to do with our Deep Six this week, but everything I've ever read about the Electoral College was originally put in place to represent people who did not know, who were literally ignorant, or did not know how to represent themselves. The thinking was, the original, I'm talking like in 1812 or whenever it was put in place, was the idea that somebody of eloquence, wealth, taste, and intelligence could represent those sad people of North Dakota that didn't know jack. That there was a lot of uneducated folk that they were represented.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that definition of and the reason for the Electoral College,
Right.
So that these people could intellectually represent,
Right.
better informed representation of the Maroons.
Right.
Who might pick some orange-faced pumpkin to
I
be the
agree.
president.
I'm not disagreeing at all.
So that being said, should the Electoral College be allowed to vote for whoever the right person is, the best person is, as opposed to the public vote? You wouldn't go for that.
No, I'm not.
Well, but to your definition of why the Electoral College is,
No, I agree.
because
That's why it's such a confusing thing.
The easily misled masses can be convinced of anything.
But now let's be fair. Who's to say who's misled? It doesn't mean that just because, again, it goes back to the argument that just because everybody tells you jump off a bridge, should you, right?
Well, I think misled would be based in fact.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
I don't disagree. But
now we get to the whole facts are fungible.
yeah, exactly. But what I was going to say in regards to the Electoral College, at least my understanding of it, which is clearly limited, is my understanding was it was put in place to represent those that didn't know how to represent themselves. But ultimately, the Electoral College has spoken and represented, even to the dismay and to the chagrin of the larger city, the larger populace, right?
So I can see that. In our nation's history, we've had two now elections where the popular vote.
Right. I think it's three.
Is it three?
I believe it's three. I believe the other time was like Kennedy or something. It wasn't that long ago.
No, well,
maybe Truman. But it was in the 20th century.
Really? There was one where the popular vote exceeded the election.
I believe so.
I didn't know that was the case. I thought there was something like in 1840
and
or
then
something.
the one with Bush and Gore.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. And I believe so this is probably a Facebook meme, but was the Obama one close?
Not even.
Okay. I don't remember.
Not even, yeah.
And just so you guys all know, I voted for Obama in 2008. I don't care. I'll talk about it. I voted for Obama in 2008.
I voted for Bush in 2004.
I voted for
did?
Bush in 2000. Mm-hmm. I voted for anybody else in Bush in 2004.
I didn't like Kerry. I wanted to stay the course where we were as a nation.
To me, Kerry was a knee-jerk reaction. 2008, I wanted Obama because I bought into the change and the hope and all the stuff that they advertised.
Yeah.
In 2012, I voted for Romney.
Why?
Because I wanted a businessman in charge. I really did.
Okay, well, we got that now.
I know. Well, do we?
Well,
I didn't vote for Trump.
We have a businessman involved in charge. That's why. I know. Oh, don't get me started.
Around the businessman.
Well, that's his only claim to fame is his success in business. So whether you not believe his claims of his success and how he achieved his empire, that's a whole different podcast lasting 8-9 hours. No, you just talk about the stuff you see on Facebook, right? I apologize we don't want to do political. I know. What did you
Let's talk about 1987.
What'd you do in 87? What'd you do in 87, man? We'll
I'm
stop.
sorry.
I'll stop.
Well, finish your thought.
Well, you see the one meme, like, there's a meme out there. Talk about memes, right?
Yeah.
There's a meme out there where California has how many electoral votes?
Like 9 million and
Right,
4.
right. So,
it's like 250 or something.
whereas North
stupid.
Dakota has like 3, right?
Exactly.
Right, except that means that a elector from North Dakota represents 300 people, whereas an elector from California represents 7,000 people.
Yeah.
So how's that even? Shouldn't those one person be 100 electors, or elect 1,000 people be one elector? Shouldn't it be that? Shouldn't it be an equal distribution of electors?
I totally think that
because
it should be.
That
then
should
it's
be
fair.
the case. Well, that's fine.
Yeah. No, I
then
agree.
if you want to make sure you run and grab all those red states in the middle, the flyover square states,
or the districts, right?
Oh, yeah.
To me, like Okanagan County, perfect example of a very
Fair
conservative
enough, yeah.
county.
Right.
There's probably
that seems
12,000
like a
people
better
that live
system.
in the
Yeah.
entire county,
Yeah.
and there should be whatever that is, 1.2 electorates.
Sure, I would agree with that.
I totally agree.
But the system we have in place now, where a elector from North Dakota is
the
10
weighting
times
is
more
way
valuable.
off. Yeah.
How is that? I mean, you talk about you don't want New York or LA are electing your presidents, but they're the ones getting fucked
Yeah.
by the Electoral College. They are. There's 9 million people in California. There's 9 million people in California or something like that, and there's
there's a lot more than 9 million.
Well, whatever it is,
40 million people in
there's one
California.
elector for every 10,000 people, whereas in North Dakota there's one elector for every 3,000 people. That's or numbers. I'm grabbing numbers out of my ass.
Yeah. No, I know, but I mean, it's unfairly weighted. I get it.
So why isn't
Totally
the popular vote a way to go? I mean, it's a vote, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And if that's not the case, if you're going to go for Electoral College, because as you clearly pointed out, it was based on a system of informed people.
Supposedly.
that was the onus. Because you can't educate the masses; they don't have time. I mean, I think the electors should all be given all the information of the Russian hack story before and cast their vote based on that. Because I guarantee you, the thumb was on the scale from every way, shape, or form in this last election.
Yeah.
An election decided by 11,000 votes in Michigan, 20,000 votes in Wisconsin, 70,000 votes in Pennsylvania, in a nation where 130 million people voted.
Yeah.
It came down to 100,000 votes.
It's pretty significant.
That's you talk
as a thing.
The shit that went on, the letters a week before that tips undecided heavily in Trump's favor to give him that slimmest margin of victory. The email leaks after leak after leak after leak to just one side. Yeah, clearly Hillary Clinton was a terrible person. Clearly, she's what's wrong with politics.
Right.
You've seen that meme. Trump's what's wrong with America. Clinton's what's wrong with politics.
You know what the reality of this, Spike, though, is, and I know you know this, and I know it pisses you off. Mm-hmm. There's 300 plus million people in this country, and about 1 million of them give a shit. I mean, like you do. Meaning,
to this degree?
Meaning to the degree you do.
Okay.
And guess what? They're all your friends on Facebook.
Nah,
but you know what you get what I'm saying.
They're engaged.
We're all and we're all on that same team, if you will. Mm-hmm. And granted, I'm not necessarily on that team, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is we're all feeding into each other, and the reality is that same group of people's pissed, but that group is so small. I'm not saying it shouldn't speak out. It shouldn't make sure its congressmen and the like know its feelings. But that 99.999% of this country, is like, okay, we're good.
I don't think it's that bad. I think you're underestimating the level of engagement. I think you and maybe just making a point, but your point being that not everybody is as passionate as I am.
They're just past it now. They just don't care anymore.
It's funny though, because we're not just going to.
I don't think
the next 4 years aren't just going to fuck up the planet for the people who care. They're going to fuck up the planet for everybody.
Disagree. I don't disagree.
You've got an EPA director who is he's going to. There was a Saturday Night Live line last week. They nominated this guy as the head of the EPA. Well, he's going to protect us from the environment. I mean, and it's a great joke, but that looks like what the hell they're doing. I mean, God,
I'm so uninformed without television. It's insane how much I don't know what's going on.
So what'd you do in '87 that was made you pick that year, man? I'm curious.
I had the exact same issue. I had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
So I was the guy just like you. Okay. I still am that guy. I mean, thank God I'm married. Just like you. I really, really crave companionship.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and
my uncle was a serial marrier.
Yeah,
because he just couldn't be alone.
Oh man, well, thank God I'm married because I probably would be as well. I met this girl in '85. My friend, my very handsome friend, started dating her. And I just remember being so envious because he kind of always blew her off. Like he was just the good-looking, cool guy, and she would just kind of fawn over him and follow him around. And they never really did much together. But it's like he had taken off the market, and it pissed me off.
Yeah.
And so I would hang out with her, and I became her friend. And then one day she said to me, that this other guy and her weren't really getting along. And so I went to him and I said, "You need to break up with her." And I said, because I want to date her. And he's my best friend.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not fair on so many levels. Yeah. I want to date her. I really care for her.
Yeah.
And he ended up breaking up with her, and then she wouldn't date me. And that really sucked. And I thought maybe it was because I wasn't handsome. Like, this guy's really good looking. And she was beautiful and just, beautiful. And anyway, I don't know, about 4 months later, she fell under my spell, I guess.
Yeah.
So we ended up dating for about a year and a half. Early part of 1987, I'm going over to her house, and she dropped the bomb on me. She's like, I'm not in love with you, and I really want to, I got this other guy I really want to see, and the fact is she'd been seeing him.
Oh yeah, well that's always the case. Yeah. And by the time it's a problem worth speaking to, the problem is a big problem.
Yeah. And similar to the thing I shared with you before on the marriage, it was the whole, but I got to figure out a way to keep it together and save it, even though you don't want it. I'm gonna make you love me.
I thought you said when you asked your buddy if you can date her, then all of a sudden he dug his claws in and never let go. They're still married to this day.
Yeah, no. And I'll never forget this. I walked to her apartment. She was staying in an apartment with her friends. And she was there, and she kind of opened the door and rolled her eyes like, "Oh, God, why are you here?" And it was in the afternoon, and I wasn't drunk or anything stupid. And I'd just gotten off the bus. I didn't have a car, driving around in Portland. And went into her house and sat down on the couch and just bawled. And just told her I loved her and just please give me another chance. All that stupid stuff.
That's so attractive.
Yeah. They love that. They're like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Yeah. I'm sure I tried that too. When Bucket broke up with me.
Yeah. And I'll never forget, this is the stupidest thing I ever said to anybody in the history of the world. I go, that song, the U2 song, With or Without You? Yeah. Well, I can't live with or without you. Yeah. I just totally fell off the stupid map, right?
Okay.
And she finally said, no, go away.
This is not.
That's it.
This isn't helping your odds.
Yeah,
This isn't increasing my desire to be with you. This sobby vocal.
Yeah. You've ramped it up 10 times. Your pathetic is coming out.
You've
really
made my mind up.
Yes. Thank you. And so I walk out, and walked out to the bus stop, and I'm bawling the whole way down there. And I get on the bus. Excuse me. Get on the bus to head back to my house in North Portland. And it runs up, I don't remember the street now, 33, 39th. And it goes right by a recruiting station. And I literally look out and I pull the lever. Ding.
Okay, there's a change.
Jump off the bus, run across the street. And I said, I want to join the Navy how long before I can go
Away from
away.
here.
I did the exact same thing.
Yeah,
My heart was broken. I got to go away.
Yeah.
I got to get out of here because it'll remind me of her forever. And she said, well, you need to take the ASVAB test. So I took the test right then. I mean, we're talking right then.
I'm taking the ASVAB.
I got a 99.
Nice.
And, which means you don't miss a question.
Right.
And she goes, well, you're qualified for everything. And I said, well, I don't know what I want to do. And she said, well, do you want to be a nuke? And I was like, no.
Isn't that funny? Because I took the ASVAB about that same time in my life. And qualified for Navy nuke.
Yep. And she goes, you want to be a nuke? No, nope. And she goes, you want to be on submarines? And I said, nope. And she said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I'm a drummer. She goes, well, this is a Navy band. I go, I don't want to go in the Navy band. I don't know what I want to do, though. And she said, well, do you like the idea of being a SEAL? And I was like, yes, I totally want to be a Navy SEAL, right?
Okay.
Well, you can't join to be a SEAL.
Right.
They don't tell you that, and you don't know that, but you can't join to be. You got to have a normal job, and then you got to go out for the SEALs. You got to try out for the SEAls, right? And so
I want to be an admiral.
I ended up signing
the
up.
Admiral Company.
Yeah, I signed up. I signed up to be a submariner, but a striking submariner, which means I had no job assignment.
Okay.
But I didn't know this. I just signed on the dotted line.
Okay.
And I literally went to boot camp, and I'll never forget this. At the end of boot camp, we'll tell the boot camp story some other time, but at the end of boot camp, they're like, okay, Jones, where are you going? And I'm like, I don't know. They go, well, it says here you're going to sub school in Groton, Connecticut. And I'm like, I am? Yes.
Okay.
And then I go, do I get to go to be a SEAL there? I literally asked that question in front of everybody, and they're all, blah, blah, blah. You're not going to be a SEAL. You're on the submarines. Well, she told me I could be a SEAL on a submarine. Well, you can't, fucking moron.
What a great day.
It was awesome. Thank you for breaking my heart and making me not a SEAL.
That's so wild.
And I went to Navy sub school. Met a whole bunch of great guys who are still my friends today. I spent 2 years on a submarine, but that's for other years. But 87 was weird in that it was like a trial year, meaning it didn't feel like any other year in my life. It was completely open to whatever happened at the moment.
Nice.
It shifted from day to day.
Throwaway year.
Yeah,
I'm
throwaway
there.
year.
Yeah.
And I was, it was 20 in the beginning of it, 21 at the end of it, and it was just the weirdest experience. But I do have one boot camp story I want to tell, which is thoroughly disgusting, but it's hilarious and perfect. I didn't know you had to do urinalysis when you landed. And so when I'm flying to go to boot camp, and I'm going to the great, they call it Great Mistakes, Great Lakes, in north of Chicago, where you go to boot camp. Land in Chicago and get off the plane, and the first thing I notice is the air smells like a swimming pool because it's in the middle of summer, all that humidity, right? I'm like, oh man, I gotta go pee. So I go run into the bathroom and go pee, and then I jump on the bus and they take us up to the base, and they say, hey, you gotta do your analysis, and I'm like, well, I can't pee. I just peed. I mean, So I was up until 4 a.m. I waited 4 hours past everybody else with one guy sitting there just furious that this one idiot couldn't pee. Finally did my UA. They busted me over to the barracks that everybody else was sleeping. And within 15 minutes of laying down, they came in with a trash can. Wake up, maggots! The whole thing. Got my hair cut. All the stuff they do that first day, they give you your clothes, and you learn under massive stress and duress. And halfway through the day, I'll never forget this as long as I live. I got like kind of like a diarrhea thing going on, and they don't just let you go to the bathroom. You've got to go when they tell you to go. You kind of like train your colon when to go. I'm like, I don't know if I can make it. So I'm like just grinning just all day, just sucking it up. And anyway, I end up somehow being so bushed that by, 10 p.m. when we finally dropped down for the night, I fall asleep. And they gave us these swim trunks, temporary clothes to wear because you didn't have your underwear. They were going to give you your billets of clothes the next 3 days later. And meanwhile, you had this, and you weren't going to take a shower for the next 3 to 4 days. So that night, I'm in the middle. I end up getting the flu. I ended up having a fever dream. Ended up crapping myself. The second night in boot camp, crapping in bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's my bed in my only set of underwear, and I've got to wear them for the next 3 days. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, when it happened, I wake up, I go into the toilet, and I'm rinsing out my underwear, and all of a sudden, the stomach flu hits me, and I go running in to throw up, okay? And while this happens, they're waking everybody up. I hear that, wake up, maggots, you know? And then I hear this, where the fuck is Jones? You know what I mean? I'm in here, sir. You know, he comes in, it's like, you suck. You're in here barfing and puke. You know, all that stuff, right? Making fun of me. What'd you do? Shit your pants? You know, all that. I'm like, yes, sir. And he's, get that crap back on. You know what I mean? Get me dressed up. So now I'm walking around with stuff in my, it was terrible. It was the worst experience. And, you know, they march us over to breakfast, have breakfast. And then after breakfast, we're going to practice marching for the first time. And I'd been in marching band, so I knew how to march, you know what I mean? And so they have me in the very front row because they want me to lead everybody, right? And so we stop, and it's like 95 degrees at 10 a.m., blasting right on us, and they have us stop, and then they have us turn left face, and we're in the front row. And they're walking by doing like an inspection of the lines like they do. And they walk by me, and when they get to me, he stops. And he goes, you feeling better, son? And I threw up in my mouth. I kept it. So I'm sitting there gurgling, mouthful of just water, basically, because I just didn't feel well. And I'm holding it. And then the next sergeant walks up, and he sees me, and I've got this just, puffed up cheeks. I look like a chipmunk. And I barf again. And it starts squirting out like milk out of the corners of my mouth. I turn around and throw up. I run through the crowd, throw up over there somewhere. And he's like, don't you pay attention to that motherfucker. You know what I mean? He just, like, don't you look at me. He's a scumbag. He's an idiot. And that night, I went down and lay down and crapped my bed again.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude.
Second night. And then,
oh my God.
Oh, it was terrible. And then 2 days later, they finally gave us fresh clothes. So I was literally wearing crap in my pants for like 3 days.
I'm sorry.
With barf stains on
man.
my.
Holy shit!
So that was my foray into being into boot camp. And then halfway through boot camp, I end up getting crabs, which I guess are really commonplace in boot camp because you're sharing mattresses from other.
Oh,
so
wow.
So
it wasn't that you got laid during boot camp. Some
girl
walked through the bar and said, "Who is it that smells like barf and shit?"
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
it you?
Yeah.
I want to be with you, cowboy.
Sounds great. No, but they actually accused me. They did when I went to the Navy corpsman or whatever. He said, "Well, who are you having sex with?" I'm like, "Nobody." He's like, "No. I want to make it very clear. Who are you having sex with?" I said, "No, nobody." He's like, "One more time. Who are you having sex with?" You know what I mean? I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just, But they gave me shampoo and next day I had 10,000 little crab corpses in my underwear.
God, dude.
It was insane.
Yeah, and
that was boot camp.
Screw that. When I tried to join the military, and I want to think it was probably 85, maybe 4.
But you had to stay home and watch.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
I'm sorry.
I'm
totally gonna edit this part out because I lost my train of thought.
Pinko TV show.
No, the MTV thing, the Live Aid.
I had to stay home and watch U2 on Live Aid. Live Aid changed my life. I couldn't join the military. I had to watch U2 on Live Aid.
That's right.
It's funny.
Queen.
It's funny. I tried to join the Air Force, and I went to take the ASVAB, and I smoked the ASVAB, much like you did. You could be in the Navy nuke program. I don't want to be in the Navy nuke program. I want to join the Air Force. And so, but I had a failure to appear in traffic court on my record from when I was young and dumb. So I had to clear waivers, and I had to get a letter from my senator, Paul Sarbanes, Maryland.
Jeez.
And I'm trying to clear waivers, to join the Air Force. And all the while I'm trying to join the Air Force, this Navy recruiter from the same recruiting office keeps calling me. He says, "Nah, man, we take you right now. We don't need you. Go call no senator. Come on, we get you on the Navy nuclear program. But you can do anything you want. You go anywhere in the world. Do anything you want." And I'm tending bar this whole time. And this son of a bitch wakes me up one morning, like at 8:00 in the morning. "Listen, man, what are you doing?" I said, "I told you, I'm trying to clear waivers. I don't want to join the Navy. I'm trying to join the Air Force." He goes, "You're going to be a bartender all your life? You should make something out of yourself." I said, "You know what? You're right. You're right. I'm not going to be a bartender all my life. And I'm probably not going to, I may not get in the Air Force, but I'm telling you what I'm definitely not going to fucking do is join the Navy." So, so thanks for calling. Lose this phone number. Don't ever fucking call me again.
Wow.
And there he is right now, to this day, 30 years later. Some bitch won't leave me alone.
Do you need to take that?
No, I don't. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry about the noise.
That's all right.
It's that time of year.
Our users
Yeah.
expect it.
Yeah, of my phone interrupting us all the time until you get comments.
Into that or the $1 million bracelet that you wear that dangles and hits your microphone. I know.
But you have people who do
every
that.
once in a while you hear that ching ching sound.
Yeah.
And I've actually had people ask me, "Is that his bracelet?"
No, it's my teeth.
Yeah.
They're not new. So I ended up not joining even not joining the Air Force. I mean, that recruiter changed my life.
Wow.
Because I was dead on to get in the Air Force, and I was doing what I had to do to clear waivers and getting letters and doing this and doing that. And this guy called me and insulted me and what I was doing and at the time, and be a bartender the rest of your life.
Right.
So, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for talking me out of it, dude.
Yeah, no shit.
And you would have never had the career.
No, no way.
Isn't it funny how that works?
Yeah, I wouldn't have been, because I went to Florida for the year of '87, and I came back to Baltimore and started tending bar again, and just burned myself out tending bar and selling cars for my dad.
Wow.
And it just burned myself out. Ended up needing a change, and I moved here in '89.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was 27 years ago.
No regrets.
No, not at all. You go back to Baltimore every once in a blue moon. It's been a couple years since I've been there. But it was funny, when I moved to the West Coast in '89, I went back a lot more than I do now. From the ability to do that, plus we were young, and my family was still there, my folks were still there, my brother was still there, so we'd go back like every other year, if not more, to Baltimore. And the first few years of being in the Northwest was like going home,
right.
leaving my temporary town to go home, and then it evolved into leaving home to go back and seeing Baltimore, which wasn't the city I remembered.
Yeah,
the city I loved.
It became the temporary town. Right?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So when was the last time you went home? Was it when your mother passed away?
My mom and dad had moved to Florida. My mom passed away about 3 years ago. This coming year, and she had. So it was actually when my aunt passed away.
Oh, okay.
A little shortly after my mom. My favorite uncle's lost his wife. My favorite Uncle Tom lost his wife, and I went back there to help him, for the week and get her affairs in order and the house in order. And I think that was the last time I was in Baltimore.
Cool.
It's been 3 years. And we've been all over the road today. I'm not sure what this sounds like to anybody, and I apologize.
It'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is 1987 is actually a tough year for me to pick, because I really only have the one story, and granted, I didn't tell it very well.
Well, no, you did. Well, you kidding me? You fell in love and got your heart broken and took a dramatic turn in your life, maybe that you hadn't thought all the way through.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's funny. It's the same exact thing I did at the same exact year. Different time in my life. I was 4 years older than you are.
Yeah.
Than you were, but I did the same thing. I ran.
Yeah.
Life hurt, and I ran.
And both our fathers were in the car business. My dad, that's what he did his whole life.
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, and we're both musicians. Oh, well, that's weird.
Well, you are. I sing.
Well, yeah, you're far more successful at your
only because I've surrounded myself with musicians.
Yeah.
What they're doing.
Let's see, 87. What else I do actually have a lot of little stories inside of there. Boot camp was a really, really wild experience.
I don't want to hear another shit story.
No. It was a really, really, I have to tell you, you know what you hear about, you know, you making these friends because you go through this thing together.
The band of brothers. Yeah, you hear it.
It's really true. And even though, you know, I didn't serve in a sense during wartime, I mean, I was in the Navy during the Gulf War, but I didn't go to the Gulf War.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And of course, I was on submarines until 89, and then I re-enlisted to get off of submarines and go into the Navy music program because I wanted to at least do something with the remainder of my years in the service with a skill that I actually had, something I liked. So I did that. But 87 was a year of wildness. The one sort of bittersweet memory I have about 87 was my best friend, Steve. Long story short with that is my friend Steve, I went to high school with him, and he's an incredible, genius guy. Great actor, great guitar player, super funny. I mean, really, truly brilliant. The kind of guy that loved to get you in trouble, you know. And I mentioned earlier that I stayed out twice, you know, in my life over the curfew.
I think I made it home twice in my life, but go on.
Yeah, I will tell you the story. This is not a 1987. This is a 1984 story, but it's still really funny, at least to me. Steve had this 1968 Cadillac that he drove around. He called it the Iron Lung, and it was a beast. And he loved it. Had a 472 in it, and he just loved throwing it backwards. So what we would do is we would drive down to the end of a cul-de-sac. And Olympia back in those days had lots of, you know, unbuilt. You know, there was all these parcels, but no homes on them, but these cul-de-sacs or these future neighborhoods, right? Straight out of Back to the Future,
with
right?
Paved roads and sidewalks or curbs at least, but no houses.
Right.
Yeah.
All the infrastructure is there, but nothing, built. For these, in the future, they called them Street of Dreams homes, okay? And he would take us down these cul-de-sacs backwards at 50 to 60 miles an hour, as fast as he could get that stupid 68 Cadillac going. And then he would pull it down into drive and then just hit the gas, and we would just sit there and spin and burn tires. That's just what we did for fun. It was just fun and funny to us. Well, one night, Steve took me and my date, whatever you want to call it. We both had dates. And we ended up going to this park in Olympia, and he took his girlfriend off somewhere, and I ended up staying in the car with my girlfriend and kind of making out a little bit with her. And it was 4 a.m. when I finally was making my way home. And I knew one of two things was going to occur. I was either going to walk in and my parents were going to be sitting in the dark on the couch because our dog never barked when I came home. She knew it was me. So thank God, she would always save my bacon. So I was either going to get in trouble or they were in bed. They just had fallen asleep and just trusted me so much, right? And fortunately for me, it was a ladder. I opened the door and I'm going upstairs, and we have 2 flights of stairs, and their bedroom doors at the top of that second flight. Walking up, I go up the first flight, and I know there's no squeaks, but I know on the platform the squeaks, and then on the second flight there's squeaks. So I'm going really, really slow, and I'm about 3 steps from the top, and I hear this sound outside. She had done the reverse 50 mile an hour down my street to wake my parents up to get me caught. That dick. Right?
So did you immediately turn around and run down the stairs? What the fuck?
No, I actually stopped because I couldn't believe what was happening. And before I could even get the third step, my dad was opening the door, and I'm like standing there looking at him at the top of my stairs. So he totally screwed me. So in 1987, Steve joined.
I had him killed.
No, almost. Steve joined the Army the year before. In 1987, he was a paratrooper. He was a military intelligence specialist. He was one of those guys that they take like out of boot camp and put in special like encryption classes to teach them foreign languages. I mean, he was a brilliant guy, and he was also a paratrooper. And in the spring of '87, he had a parachute accident where he landed in, they were jumping somewhere in California in the desert, and his chute didn't disconnect when he landed on the ground, and it drug him like a quarter of a mile. Those super high winds drug him go down these roads, and it ended up giving him tons of internal damage, internal bleeding.
Wow.
His colon was torn in half, the entire length of the colon. Broken bones, the whole thing. And so he was in critical condition in the hospital. Come 2 weeks before I joined the Navy, well, actually, I think it was like the day after I signed the papers, I'm going to leave on July 23rd, I get a knock. I didn't even expect it. I get a knock on the front door of my house in Portland, and it's Steve. And he's standing there, and I'm like, oh, but what are you doing here? And he goes, well, I'm on medical leave. I'm out of the hospital. Clearly, I'm standing in front of you. And the first thing he says is, he goes, Rob, look, they fucked up my belly button. And he pulls up his shirt, and his belly button is underneath his left nipple because there was so much body damage.
Right.
They literally just filleted him and cut him open to save his life.
Right.
Okay? So he ends up spending the day with me, and he's really, really acting odd. I can't explain it. And he keeps talking about guns, and he keeps talking about a Desert Eagle, specifically a Desert Eagle. And he goes, have you seen RoboCop? And I go, yeah. And he goes, that's a Desert Eagle. He goes, that gun, that'll blow your head off. That gun will kill anybody on sight. And then that day, we go and see Beverly Hills Cop 2. And the whole time he's watching all the gunplay, and he's really, really fascinated with it. He keeps talking about the guns. He keeps interrupting the movie and talking about guns. Anyway, by the end of the day, he takes me back to my house and says, hey, I'll see you in a couple months, because he lives in North Carolina. He's on base in North Carolina, and I'm going to be transferring to the East Coast somewhere. He just doesn't know where. And that's it. That's the last time I see him. So I go through boot camp. I go to sub school, and I'm in Groton, Connecticut. And I get a letter from Steve on December 1st of 1987. And it says, Rob, please call me. I'm really lonely. And I don't have any friends. I don't have anything going on. I'm going to be home for Christmas. But I just come and visit me. Come and do something. He goes, I know you're in Connecticut. Well, what he didn't know is I was transferring down to South Carolina in the next, 40 days. And so I wanted to do what I always wanted to do. I wanted to surprise him, show up at his door. So I didn't answer his email. And this is back in the day. Nobody had cell phones.
Right.
I didn't have a number. And,
Email or mail?
Mail.
Okay, yeah.
This is before all that,
I hear
before
you,
everything,
yeah.
right? So I didn't write him back, and I didn't call him because I thought, I'll see him at Christmas, and then I'll go home. Then I'll surprise him when I go down there because he doesn't know I'm transferring to South Carolina. So I go home for Christmas, and Steve doesn't come home for Christmas. And I'm like, what's going on, Anyway, I'm busy during Christmas time, and I end up, going back to Groton, Connecticut on December 28th. And when I get to my Navy base, my friend Audrey calls me up and says, I got some bad news. And I was like, what? And she goes, Steve's dead. And I'm like, what? And she goes, yeah. She goes, I don't know any details. He's just dead. And so I call his mom, and she always called me Robbie. And she goes, Robbie, they killed my boy. They killed my boy. And he was in intelligence. And so everything in me said, right? Maybe he was murdered. She kept telling me he was murdered, all this stuff. And never really thought much about it, just listened to that story. And then 4 years later, she died. His mother died shortly thereafter. 4 years later, I was still having dreams about Steve, that he was like a covert op, like he had been, the fake death, and he was actually somewhere, like in, Albania, right?
Right.
And I went and visited his aunt, and I said, did they ever find out, like, what happened to Steve? And she goes, what? What are you talking about? And I go, whatever happened to Steve? And she goes, what? And I go, well, Jill said that he was murdered, and did they ever find who killed him? She goes, Rob, he shot himself. Yeah. With a Desert Eagle.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
I was going to say, dude, I first of all, I'm sorry for your loss and your friend, and That must be terrible to know that you were trying to do something sweet and surprise him, and
I still miss him.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I named my son after him, actually. Wow. Zachary Stephen. Yeah. Yeah. But
so far we've talked about your colonoscopy, shit in your bed at
I
boot
always
camp,
have dark
and your buddy
stories.
killing himself. This has been a Merry Christmas moment for everybody, huh? But, no, I hear you, man.
But it's love.
That's real life.
It's still love.
Yeah.
You know what? I love him. I miss him.
Yeah.
My mom thought he was just the greatest guy in the world.
Shit, man.
Yeah, just really, really intense. But 87 was just such a. I guess the whole point of all this for me, Spike, is 87 was the most transitory year. It felt like it was a hopeless year in the middle of it, right? It was just hopeless in the front end with the loss of love, hopeless at the back end with the loss of friends. Didn't know what I was going to end up doing in the Navy. Just knew I was in the Navy, and now I was stuck for 4 years. 88 changed everything. 88 changed everything.
Really?
Got married, had a kid. Just, again, that whole got to be with somebody.
You bet. I don't care who. You're up. You're in. It's your time.
But
that's wild, man.
Yeah, 87 was a bitch of a year. So I always tell people to this day that the hardest year for me was 20, and then the second hardest year for me was 30.
Really?
Yeah, because 20 was that
87?
87,
okay.
And 30 was the year I went through my divorce.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, 40 was awesome though.
Oh, you sure? Okay, good.
50's and 50 good so far
so far so good. Okay, good.
Yeah, I met you.
Yeah, there you go. Well, geez, we need to set your bar a little higher.
Yeah.
It's funny. 87. It was funny how you picked that one year and said, "Oh yeah, that's the year I kind of blew up my life, tried something new." But that's cool. So did you. I mean, nobody. No, that's not what I say. Not enough people get a chance to reset.
Yeah.
And while it was a brutal year on you from start to finish, you reset.
Yeah.
You got a chance to reset. And if you hadn't taken that crossroad, you wouldn't have had a chance to do what you do and met who you met and be who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, if I hadn't decided to get the hell out of Baltimore, and get down to Florida for a year and just cleanse my brain, give my brain a little suntan, a little time off, I came back to Baltimore and tried to do the same thing I'd been doing. But when that blew up, when that wasn't fulfilling, I realized, okay, let's do it. I can change. I learned that I could change in 87. It kind of gave me the strength to pull the trigger in 89 when I decided to move here and change everything.
Yeah, it was like a pre-crossroads year for you.
Yeah, I mean it was my minor league, life change. This has been my major league life change was 89.
Yeah.
And
I almost added that military story into my Crossroads podcast last week because I thought that would be a great one to share. But
you think? Yeah.
But yours was so important. I mean, I'm curious. We can talk offline one of these hours.
Yeah,
I'd love to find out where things are at for you. But any final thoughts? Because I know we're kind of at the end of our mark here, and I know you got to get back to. I got
to go back to the life I loathe.
The gig,
love. Yeah,
the gig that keeps interrupting with love and vigor.
Hey, you know what though? It affords me the opportunity to hang out with you. It affords me the opportunity. I mean, it's not like I'm putting rivets in a plane and Boeing, which is a great profession, great career. Yeah. It's not like I'm working a cash register at Safeway. I got the ability to kind of set my own schedule, make time for what's important to me, which is meeting with you and doing this, and just goofing off. I build myself the luxury of doing that because I work when I have to. So final thoughts on 87. It was a bear, but it gave me a lot. Yeah. I still am in touch with, not in touch, Facebook. It's funny, Facebook. I still see the girl from Florida.
Really?
Yeah, on Facebook. You bet, man. She turned out great. Married a guy she loves, a couple kids. Yeah, it turned out great.
That just kind of formed and shaped her here a little bit.
I mean, I had nothing to do with it. I was a summer fling for her.
Sure.
But great girl. As opposed to the one who wrecked my world and drove me to Florida. She's, married to Zippo and lives up in Pennsylvania somewhere, I think.
Nice.
Got her little squatted out her pups and put on some weight. That's what they do.
Nice.
It's all good.
So since this is going to be released
right before Christmas,
a couple days before Christmas, any final beautiful, lovely Christmas thoughts you want to share with anyone?
You know what? We've kind of hit on this when we talked about family, but Christmas. It's funny. It's like, speaking of resets, I think the holiday season it's tough on some people, and I get that. It's tough when you can't be with the ones you love. It's tough when you've lost people. I lost a dear friend this year. That's unfair. I lost a friend who was a great guy, but my Christmas won't be unbearable because, his family's going to go through their first Christmas without him.
Yeah.
Our older daughter's coming home for Christmas again this year. She did last year, but the first couple of years, 3 years she was in New York, she didn't come home. And there was nothing that would replace that emptiness for us. Tried everything, and nothing made Christmas work because she wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I guess, Christmas is a time to reset your life and give everybody a little shot of hope and optimism and good cheer and joy. Yeah. Whether you want it or need it or not, here it comes. Why not take advantage of the holiday season?
Yeah.
Why not use the colored lights and the fun music and everybody's got a smile on their face moment to just, figure out what's important. And if it's the people in your life that you can be with, reach out. Life's too short. Yeah. Make the most of this holiday season.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Losing my dad this year. It's kind of like the last time I want to talk about it, truthfully. But
it's your first holiday without him?
It is.
Be tough.
Yeah. I miss him. I miss him a lot. But it'll be okay,
Yeah.
And the nice part is I get to spend time with Mom and.
I hear you, brother, and I can tell it's heavy on you. We lost my mom a few years ago, but it's funny. I get to spend more time with her now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that may sound cheesy, but I do. I get to think about her and ask her for guidance more than I did when she was around.
Yeah.
It's the physical holding her. Those aren't there for you, but in your heart and in your head, it's easier than ever.
Yeah, no, it's true. I always got an audience.
Yeah, somebody will call you on your bullshit.
Yeah,
somebody will tell you when you got it right.
Yeah, I just hope he's not watching all the time because it's kind of gross if he is.
He knew anyway. Come on, I know, right? My poor mom. God, she has to see all this now. I thought I kept, but she knew anyway.
Yeah,
buddy.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're part of my life this holiday season.
Same. I feel very blessed to have you in my life, man.
Thanks,
You've
brother.
been a heck of a win for me this year.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
So, hey, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, everybody. We love you, and thank you so much for listening. And
if you don't know what to get someone this holiday season on your list, that hard to buy for person, send them this podcast.
Well,
it will cost you nothing, and you will give them joy.
Yeah.
And if they're having a tough life, they can listen to this and realize that they've got it pretty good compared to the schmucks like you and I.
Yeah. Plus, this is definitely one of those gifts that keeps on giving.
Like the crabs you caught at boot camp.